The spring wind swept across the Arizona Territory in 1886, carrying dust over the wide-open plains. 33-year-old rancher Caleb Turner lived alone on a quiet ranch near the foothills. Honest and respected, Caleb believed a person's character mattered more than wealth. One morning, while checking his fences, he discovered a frightened horse wandering alone, its saddle decorated with beautiful Apache beadwork. Caleb examined the exhausted animal carefully. The horse carried fresh rope marks around its neck and cuts along its legs, suggesting it had recently escaped thieves. Rather than keeping such a valuable horse for himself, Caleb gathered supplies, mounted his own gelding, and followed the animal's tracks toward the distant mountains where several Apache families were believed to camp peacefully. The journey lasted nearly 2 days across rocky canyons and dry riverbeds. Late on the second afternoon, Caleb spotted smoke rising above cottonwood trees. Several Apache scouts appeared silently, watching him from nearby cliffs. Caleb slowly dismounted, raised both hands peacefully, and gently guided the missing horse forward without reaching for the revolver resting on his belt. An elderly Apache leader stepped forward, instantly recognizing the beautiful horse. Relief filled the camp as children rushed to embrace the loyal animal. Through careful conversation, using simple English and patient gestures, Caleb explained how he had found the horse wandering alone. The leader thanked him warmly, offering food, fresh water, and safe shelter before his return journey. That evening, families gathered around glowing campfires beneath countless stars. Caleb listened respectfully while elders shared stories about courage, loyalty, and protecting innocent people. He realized their traditions valued honor just as deeply as those taught by his own parents. The evening ended with mutual respect, proving strangers could become trusted friends through simple acts of kindness. Before sunrise, Caleb began riding back toward his ranch. The Apache leader handed him a beautifully woven blanket as a gift, refusing to let such honesty pass unrewarded. Caleb accepted gratefully, never expecting anything beyond friendship. As the camp disappeared behind distant hills, he believed their paths might never cross again. Several peaceful weeks passed. Caleb repaired fences, cared for cattle, and planted fresh corn beside his cabin. Then one evening, just as the sun dipped behind crimson cliffs, he noticed several Apache riders approaching across the valley. Between two horses lay someone tied carefully across a saddle, unconscious but still breathing. Caleb hurried toward the riders with concern rather than fear. The Apache leader explained they had discovered the injured stranger abandoned inside a narrow canyon after surviving an outlaw attack. Inside the man's coat, they found a weathered map leading directly toward Caleb's ranch. Believing the wounded traveler might know him, they carried him safely across the mountains. Together they untied the stranger and carried him inside Caleb's cabin. The injured man slowly regained consciousness after drinking water. His name was Samuel Brooks, an aging surveyor hired to map new wagon routes through Arizona Territory. Before collapsing, Samuel warned that a ruthless outlaw gang planned to seize nearby ranches by forcing settlers away through fear. Samuel revealed he had secretly copied important documents proving the gang illegally claimed land using forged papers. After discovering the truth, the outlaws ambushed him inside the canyon, believing he had died. Instead, Apache hunters found him before wild animals or harsh weather ended his life. Those documents could expose every criminal involved. Caleb realized the danger reached far beyond his own ranch. If the outlaws succeeded, honest settlers and peaceful Apache families alike would lose homes they had worked tirelessly to build. He immediately agreed to help Samuel deliver the evidence safely to the territorial marshal in the nearest frontier town before the gang struck again. The following morning, Caleb, Samuel, and several Apache riders traveled together through winding mountain trails unknown to most outsiders. Their hidden route allowed them to avoid dangerous roads washed by outlaw scouts. Along the journey, trust deepened between everyone, proving cooperation often succeeded where suspicion and hatred had repeatedly failed throughout frontier history. As expected, the outlaw gang eventually discovered their destination. Near a rocky river crossing, armed riders blocked the narrow trail. Their leader demanded Samuel surrender the documents immediately. Caleb calmly refused while Apache riders quietly moved into defensive positions among nearby boulders. Everyone understood courage would soon decide whether justice survived another difficult day. The confrontation ended quickly after territorial deputies, alerted earlier by friendly settlers, arrived from the opposite direction. Trapped between lawmen and determined defenders, the outlaws surrendered without escaping. Samuel handed the forged documents directly to the marshal, who immediately arrested the gang for fraud, robbery, and numerous violent crimes committed across the territory. News of the arrests spread rapidly throughout Arizona. Families who had feared losing their land celebrated together. The Apache leader publicly thanked Caleb for returning the stolen horse weeks earlier, explaining that one honest decision had created the friendship that ultimately saved many innocent lives. Kindness, once again, had changed far more than anyone expected. During the summer harvest, Apache families visited Caleb's ranch carrying baskets of fruit, handmade blankets, and cheerful laughter. Settlers welcomed them warmly. Children played together across open fields while adults exchanged farming ideas and horse training skills. The friendships formed after one returned horse continued growing stronger with every passing season. Samuel remained at the ranch until fully recovered. Before leaving, he gave Caleb the original survey map, marking reliable springs and safe mountain passes discovered during years of exploration. The map helped neighboring ranchers avoid dangerous trails and improved travel for countless families moving across the frontier in search of peaceful new beginnings. Years later, travelers passing through Arizona often heard the remarkable story of the cowboy who returned a stolen horse instead of keeping it. They also learned how Apache riders later arrived carrying an injured stranger whose warning saved an entire community. Both events reminded people that honest choices often bring unexpected blessings beyond imagination. Caleb never considered himself a hero. Whenever neighbors praised his courage, he simply smiled and answered that returning something which belonged to another person should never be extraordinary. Real strength, he believed, came from doing the right thing without expecting reward. That quiet lesson became the greatest legacy he left behind on the American frontier.